Here's Brian Kilmeade, who thinks that, and part of this, to be fair, is a function of some bad reporting that took place by NBC. It is, and like, this is something, you know, we mentioned earlier that I found the going around with the parties, the states, representative from the states saying, you know, we give 30 delegates to Bernie Sanders and 50 delegates to the next president of the United States, Joe Biden. That was a very different experience, both watching on TV or in person, than it would have been when you do it from the floor of a convention. On the floor of a convention, nobody pays attention. Nobody can do any, like, they're not in the context. You don't get a sense of who it is. You get none of it. Same thing when you have a convention where there are two people who have a significant amount of delegates. This is always done this way. It's just that it doesn't appear this way because in this instance it was virtual. So AOC got up there. She nominated Bernie Sanders. I didn't think it was necessarily one of her best speeches, but whatever. It was a very narrowly tailored speech because she was up there. It was her job to nominate Bernie Sanders. That was what her job was. I don't know if she decided to do that because maybe it was like, oh, I don't have to give a full-throated endorsement to Joe Biden in that moment or what. But this was what her job was in the context of this thing. And people blew it up like she got up there and just sort of freelanced and didn't say anything about Biden and ended up endorsing Bernie Sanders. This was all supposed to happen this way. And here is Brian Kilmeade, who sees something very different going on.
And one of the biggest stories has to be AOC coming out and endorsing Bernie Sanders in a minute, which you look like a hostage video. It is unbelievable because it looks like there's an agenda trying to get out with Bernie Sanders leading off day one and AOC with her held to 1 minute speech endorsing Bernard Sanders right after. And the theory is, and it's hard to push it down, that once Joe Biden's elected, this party's going flying left. And it's when things like that happen and you see someone like AOC with the social media rock star she is, basically saying everything bad about the country, where she wants to take it, and what Bernie Sanders would do for it. Bad combination. Meanwhile, John.
What does he mean? It's a hostage video.
Well, first of all, it's a hostage video because it's on video.
But she endorsed Bernie. So like, wouldn't they kill her? Like,
no,
I think in this scenario, she is the jailer making a video about the hostage that she is holding, aka Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
I think we have three different theories about who the hostage and who's holding the hostage here.
None of his theory there. You cannot track what he was saying.
Love to map
His
that out.
argument
It's a hostage video.
It started out like she was like a hostage video is she's being forced to endorse Bernie Sanders.
But
she was not.
In the hostage, wouldn't she be forced to endorse Biden?
Exactly.
No, she's Bernie's hostage.
A hostage video is when the jailer gets on the camera and says, I'm holding some hostages. Here's the video.
But here's the thing. If she's being held hostage by Bernie or Biden, like, it doesn't make sense that her hostage video is indicative of the fact of how much power Bernie and AOC have within the party. And let's be clear here. Bernie was number 2 in the delegate count. He gave a 4 or 5 minute speech. And then she had 1 minute out of the 120 minutes. Like Eva Longoria or whatever her name is. She wasn't the host last night. I don't know the name of the host. Who was the host last night? I don't know. Both of them had more speaking time than AOC did, which of course is indicative of their secret plan, which is to give the party over to her after this election is over.
They're holding her hostage and then they're going to give her the keys. Like, I don't, this is the most confusing metaphor I've ever heard in my life.
It's the reverse. What do you call it? What is the syndrome that you get? It's the reverse Stockholm syndrome. They're holding her hostage and they are beginning to sympathize with her. And that's why they give her the party afterwards.
Yeah,
or
that's
it's
how
like,
powerful she is.
It's like Herman Melville's Benito Cereno, which is about like all the slaves had taken over the slave master's ship and they were under control of the slaves, but they couldn't. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit far afield. But.
That's a little far.
It's a blazing saddles
syndrome.
It's the blazing saddles paradox, I think.
That is impressive. They are so desperate to try and shoehorn this thing in there. And I don't know. They did it very quickly. But look, it's not just Brian Kilmeade. Brian Kilmeade has this bizarre theory that there's going to be a AOC Bernie Sanders takeover based upon the fact that they're holding her hostage, or she's holding them hostage, or she's got superpowers, or whatever it is. If it was just Brian Kilmeade, then, who would worry? But it's not just Brian Kilmeade, because Ainsley Earhardt also has a theory.
If you look at Bernie, if you look at Biden, it's interesting. He's more like Bernie, she's saying, than he is like Barack. All these B's. You got Bernie and Biden and Barack. But I think he has to be in order to appeal to the progressives. And the progressives are saying, hey, we tried to win with Bernie. That didn't work. So let's get into Washington with Biden, who is establishment, who has a lot of experience, touts himself as more moderate.
Right.
He'll appeal to that base, and then we will bring in all the progressives. Then eventually, what we stand for, remember.
Let's just get in the door.
Let's get in the door, and then we can infiltrate Washington and infiltrate the country. And remember when Bernie was running and he said, "I'm socialist," everyone said, "What? Do you understand what that means?" And then slowly but surely, more and more people liked his message.
They did.
This is how it starts.
And, it's just
they found out what it meant.
too, because he was about to win the nomination, and Jim Clyburn and the establishment stopped him in his tracks in South Carolina. And Bernie, he had it locked up. He was obviously doing better, a much better campaigner, a much better debater, because he knows his issues. He never puts any of his ideas into practice, never worked in Vermont, never passed anything in the Senate, but he memorizes textbooks.
Let me say one thing, Brian. Being from South Carolina, I still think that Biden would have gotten the nomination. Clyburn helps, but I still think he would have, because they love Barack Obama.
Take that, Kilmeade.
Wow. They are so, this is just, it's fascinating how they cannot, even within the context of like a 2-minute clip, maintain a consistent narrative. The problem with socialism is that when people hear about it, they start to like it. That's one of the things that she's worried about. The other issue apparently is that when the progressives settled on Joe Biden because they couldn't get Bernie, and so they were like, well, we can just get in there anyways without him, and we'll infiltrate Washington and the country. I hope she's right. I don't put a lot of stock in that, but I hope she's right.
She's more optimistic than I am.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
There's going to be some opportunity, I think, for the left. I think there's going to be some.
It'll be good to have like trillions of dollars spent to the Green New Deal that wouldn't otherwise be there. Like things like that will be nice. But as far as like the left organizing
Biden's
itself,
going to sign it.
Oh yeah, I think I think
his deal, the one that he's
it won't be the full Green New Deal, but it'll be like
the one he rolled out. I think he will sign.
That's preferable to. But I don't know. That's good for environmentalists. Like, and it's good. It's better for the left that the world burns a little bit slower. But
if you want to get granular about the Green New Deal, I think it's been widely agreed upon by climate scientists that just doing these half measures is about as bad as doing nothing at all in terms of our long-term climate viability. But I guess that's it's getting a bit far afield here. I like how she acts like they say Bernie couldn't get anything passed in Vermont, and yet he's got the power and the organizational skills and the sneakiness to like somehow infiltrate the Democratic Party.
Well, part of the reason why he couldn't get anything passed in Vermont was because he was a federal senator and not involved in Vermont politics. He was a Burlington mayor.
He was the mayor.
but you can't, that's not the way it works. You can't pass legislation in Burlington that controls the entire state. But putting that aside, they are just desperately struggling to figure out how they deal with Joe Biden. It's so second order, right? It's not even, it is, you cannot let Joe Biden in because he cracks open the door for the socialists. It's not, there's no first order issue they have with Biden. It's fascinating.
Yeah, well, I hope that they're right.